Hey guys, and welcome to 0 to 3. My name is Justin Bailey, and we're going to be looking at Romans chapter 6 and 7 today. And what I want to do is start with a passage that Paul wrote, and it's in chapter 7. We're going to start in verse 19. You may be familiar with this already, but let's pick it apart and see if we can draw some more meaning out of it. Okay, here we go. For what I do is not the good I want to do. No, the evil I do not want to do. This I keep on doing. Now, if I do what I do not want to do, it is no longer I who do it, but it is the sin living in me that does it. Now, there's a lot of do's and do nots and all that going on there, but what Paul is referring to is this struggle, this inner battle between doing what's right and doing what's wrong. Now, if we look at earlier in chapter 6, we see that we die to sin and we live in Christ. They actually use the analogy of a marriage. So if we're married to somebody and we go get married to somebody else, we're actually committing adultery. But if somebody dies in the marriage and we get remarried, it's okay, we're married to a new person. In the same way, the law has died to us and we are married now to the grace and the new covenant that Jesus Christ brought through his death on the cross. So we have a whole new law, a whole new way of living. But even though that's the case, we still struggle with our flesh. We still struggle with these old desires that still exist in our hearts and in our minds. And we want to know how to triumph over that. We want to know how to do the right thing. But, it's encouraging to me through this passage that we see even Paul struggle with this. Even this was a difficult thing for him. So as you go out this week and you read chapters 6 and 7, I want you to think about yourself as having died to this old self, these old desires that are in your heart and in your mind to do, and you're alive in Christ. You're alive to move freely and serve him in grace. And in fact, the passage says that we were slaves to sin before, but now we're slaves to Christ. Now we serve him alone. And even as we're talking about in our series, Come Alive, we talked about the fact that we are seen, practically speaking, as saints before God because we're forgiven. And I want you guys to see yourselves as saints, because when we act out in the flesh and when we're sinful and when we're tempted, it's easy to see ourselves as sinners. It's easy to see ourselves as unredeemed and not saints. And when we do that, it's easy to continue to sin because we kind of give up. We go, well, what's the point? I'm already a sinner. I've already given up. And we continue to live lives of sin. When we see ourselves as a saint, we can say, you know what? Just as Paul says, I did that. I didn't want to do it. But you know what? I am a saint. I am forgiven through God. And I can confess that. I can make myself right with God by confessing and agreeing with the sin in my life that was wrong. And I can move forward. You guys, my hope for you this week is read 6 and 7. See yourselves as saints. Realize there's a battle, but it's already been won for you. And seek to live as a slave to God this week. If you have any questions or comments, shoot me an email, justin@nccetk.com. Other than that, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.